It's not about motivation. Winners need discipline. Wake up and win today. Discipline comes from within.
Boxing King Media in association with Boxraw. Delighted to be joined by Dominic, Ingle and Greg Marriott.
No, Greg the Mole Marriott. And it's funny because Greg's initials are GMM. I've always wondered what the M between Greg and Marriott was, and now I know where it is. It's the Mole. And you know what? Moles haven't got very good eyesight, and Greg's eyesight ain't brilliant. And sometimes when he wears them really thick glasses, he looks like Mr. Magoo.
Anything to say about that, Greg?
What can I say?
Hindsight is 20/20 vision, as they say.
We're going to get to the bit where you got labelled a mole, Greg. But, before we talk about any of that, I want to initially start off by, I know you've done interviews before, Greg, but most people would have seen you for the first time.
Who labelled me that anyway?
I don't know, I think it's more like an assumption online because of all this information coming out of Tyson Fury's camp. But we're going to get to that. But I just want to highlight the fact that, when Tyson Fury blew up to like 27, 26 stone, I don't know if many people know, but you was the guy that he brought in to help him drop 10 stone. Is that right?
Yeah. We were on camp with Billy Joe Saunders fighting David Lemieux. What a camp that were.
He came over to Canada, Tyson, didn't he, with the big coat on. Mink.
Scandinavian.
Mink.
Yeah.
Mink coat.
Like a Viking. No, and he just obviously seemed to shape Billy were in, and that was one of the best camps I've ever been on, to be honest with you. Everything was just great, and obviously it showed in fight, and I think Tyson just, thought, wow, he's in shape. Obviously Billy's always struggled with weight, and he says, can you get me in shape over a steak dinner? Remember that night?
Yeah.
And I said, yeah. I said, let's do it. And it was just tongue in cheek. I said, is what it is, Didn't ever think he was going to come back. And he called me and said, can we do it? I said, yeah. So I took 8 or 9 stone off him. Got him at ring with his comeback, Sefery, I believe. And then did the next fight, 2018, that were June, Sefery, and then I think October he fought Francesco Pianetta, did that one. And then obviously I got the call to do a Wilder fight. He phoned me up and said, Greg, can you come over to Big Bear, I think they trained in, to do a fight in California? And I said, I had to have a big operation. I'd had cancer, different things. I'd had a lot of operations, and they said, I told me surgeon, I says, can I do a fight with Tyson Fury? He says, if you do, you could risk losing your leg. So obviously, health is wealth. And I just told Tyson, I'm sorry, but I can't do it. You're gonna have to get someone else. So they said, who do you recommend? So I recommended my friend, Dave Stash. He went over there, did that camp for him. And then that was it, to be honest. I was kind of out of the game for 6 to 9 months in a wheelchair, so.
Well, it's good to see that you obviously made your recovery from cancer, and obviously you're back on top. But prior to that, because people will be wondering how you got your intro into boxing. I know you and Dom work a lot together with all the diet and nutrition stuff that Dom does as well. So I don't know, Dom, have you got any funny stories you can share with Greg? First time you met him,
It was an interesting.
throw him under the bus.
It was an interesting one. That, I mean, we trained together in a weights gym just around the corner from where I live, and Greg kind of worked his way in.
Like a mole.
Yeah, well, not like a mole, like a cuckoo, really. You say the cuckoo. But we got talking, and I realised just talking to me, he was really good at memorising his stuff. He got a photographic memory, and conversations we had, he could always recite them back. But we got talking about nutrition, and one of the first camps was a fighter we had, Solomon and Baye. A French fighter, very good European level fighter, actually boxed for a world title fight. And he'd boxed all his career in France. He was the same weight as Junior Witter, 10 stone, very good fighter. And we kind of got him at the back end of his career. So he came to our gym, he came to Sheffield for 8 weeks. And I gave Greg the job to do his diet and nutrition. And we trained him. And his fight was in Monte Carlo. Monaco. And I said to Greg, "What, you're a good job. It's going to be a first one abroad." And he said, "How much am I getting?" I went, "You're not getting paid. It's just going to be experience." He went, "Oh, fair enough." And when he told his missus he was getting paid by experience, she went through the roof. Anyway, he went to Monaco, and he says, "I'm not 100%, sure what I'm doing." I said, "You know enough." I says, "Easily know enough to do the job." I says, but when you get over there, I says, you know, we've got us phones, we'll keep in contact. Any issues, just, you know, get in touch with me. So off he went on his merry way, all, you know, happy, and did what he got to do. And the first time he tried to phone me, what happened?
Switch phone off.
And then he'd be sending me messages. I didn't answer the phone to him at all. And he's saying, oh, you know, you switch your phone off. I says, don't worry. I says, best way to learn is to jump straight in. And from that point onwards, he adapted, got it sorted. It was a great fight. I mean, Ambayo was way past his best. He got put down about 3 or 4 times, but he kind of got through the rounds. Did he finish on his feet or did he get stopped?
11th round.
Yeah, he got stopped. The kid was a tough Russian kid. But I always remember Ambayo saying afterwards, because I wish I'd have come to you a lot, you know, at the beginning of my career. He says, it's the easiest I've ever made weight. At the age I am, I felt great in the fight. Obviously, I'm just a bit too long in the tooth for it now. So that was Greg's baptism of fire into nutrition. And that was got to be, what, over 10 years ago now?
Talking 12.
12 years ago. So it was an experience, and from then onwards, you know, he's been in with the big fights. I think the actual biggest fight he did after that was Kell Brook's camp for Sean Porter. It was 16 weeks between Fuerteventura, various places in Spain, America, and that kind of really kicked it off for Greg. He's been the top of his game ever since.
Is that fairly right, Greg?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously Dominic gave me that opportunity, and like he said in many interviews before, he gave me a grain of sand and I built a beach. You know, that kind of meant attitude where I've had nothing, 80 pence to my name and £15,000 to debt. I sat in my chair, what shall I do? And he said to me, you're going to be a nutritionist. I'm like, what? I'm not. He went, just stick with me, it'll be all right. And obviously, it's foolproof what they do in this gym anyway, from Brendan, you know, to what Dominic's done. So I thought, look, I'll just...
What have I got to lose?
Yeah.
Might as well give it a chance.
Definitely.
But to be honest, you know, you've got to be able to do the job. And you're not going to stay in this job if you don't know what you're doing. You've got to know what you're doing. And if he didn't know what he's doing and he didn't cut the mustard or whatever, he won't be doing the job. Not with me anyway, because, you know, you've got to be capable. If you're going to be put in a position of doing the diets for the top fighters, Billy Joe Saunders, Kell Brook, you know, all the fighters we've had coming through the gym, you've got to be competent. I mean, it's a bit of a different story if you're just in this gym and you're in the corner putting the stool through the ropes or whatever, or washing the gum shield. You know, that's easy enough, but you'd be surprised how many people get that wrong. But when you're talking about weight cuts, you know, I used to do the diets for the fighters and train the fighters, but it's a hard job to be doing. And if I'm gonna pass that on to somebody, because I like to have control of the fight. If I've trained that fighter for 12 weeks, the one thing I can't allow is that fighter's weight to be wrong, because that can be the make or break. So you've got to put somebody in position who's reliable. And
Not only just to know what they're doing. Like Dom's always said to me, I remember when Kell boxed in Liverpool, and I was fresh into it, and they said there was an after party. I went, oh, like, are we going? And Dom says, no, we're not going. We don't do that. And Kell says, oh, this is, are you staying? I thought, I'll stay. And then 10 minutes into after party, I phoned Dom. I says, where are you? Like, I want to go home. He's like, no, I want motorway. I'm going home. Like, I want to come back. And ever since that day, you know, you can get caught up in the razzmatazz of this fight. See so many people just wanting to just be part of boxing, and not that I'm not interested in that part of it. Never have been, never will be. I don't care. I just want to do my job, and that's it, you know, and go on.
Obviously, the job you got there, I know you've done bits and bats, but to get that job of getting Tyson Fury back boxing, because obviously in most people's eyes he was done. I think pretty much everyone predicted he'll never fight again, and he proved everyone wrong. And obviously it takes two. Tyson's got to put the work in as well. But without going into detail, I'll probably cover this in another interview with you. But what was the hardest challenge of getting Tyson Fury from 27 stone to like 18, 19?
It's the mental aspect of things, keeping him mentally satiated. And that's when every single boxer, no matter if they've got a stone to lose or 10 stone, it's just keeping him on that treadmill. And obviously working with Ben Davison back then, and he was basically babysitting him. And that's what needed to be done, babysitting Tyson Fury at that point. Because I think even though he believed in himself, other people had to believe in him to get to that point. You know, so taking your time out to mentally do that was hard. You know, but we'd done it in this gym.
Most people will be wondering, obviously, you had your cancer, then
Yeah.
obviously Tyson used somebody else. Is there a reason why you never went back earlier? And I know you started doing this camp again for the USYK, the undisputed fight, but is there any reason why there's been a big gap between you guys not working together?
I had the operation and I was out of game for 69 months. So I wasn't doing anything.
6 to 9 or 69 months.
Yeah, 69 months is a lot of years.
To 9 months in a wheelchair getting back. And then obviously Keller were having fights, so I got back into the gym slowly. And then Billy Joe were having fights, so did that. And obviously Tyson got someone called George Lockhart. Good guy, you know, big in nutrition at UFC, worked massively in UFC. And he's had him for last 4 years. And it was funny because me and Dom train at 5:30 in the morning together. We have a coffee, hit the gym, and that's his routine. And I was sat having a Costa coffee, and my phone went, and we were having a deep conversation, working through his clients, and it was a FaceTime from a number that I didn't know. And he went, "Don't be answering that."
Is this for this camp?
Yeah. He went, "Don't be answering that." I says, "Nah," I says, "I don't know who that is." So I answered it, and it was Tyson Fury on treadmill with Benny hat on, and he said, "Greg Mush." I says, "All right, Tyson." He went, "Do you want to be part of the biggest fight in history?" He went, "'Cause I want the best." And I thought, wow, kind of thing. And I said,
You didn't say to him, "So when's your Tommy fighting next, did you?" Huh?
I said to him, "I'll give you a ring back." And I think I left it a couple of days, and I thought, it's going to be hard work. Been a lot of camps, and I thought, it's going to be hard work. And I thought, yeah, I'll do it. So there it is. Rest is history. So obviously, I did a bit of the camp, and obviously an unfortunate thing happened. And
Obviously, the shape he got him in, because most people will be wondering, you know, we saw him at the press conference for the Ngannou fight, and obviously he looked like he was carrying a lot of weight, but he said he had a solid camp. So what was the difference between him saying he had a solid camp and obviously then doing the same again with you, and you could clearly see visibly that he'd lost a lot of weight?
me, without being big-headed, you know, I don't just accidentally come across these world-class fighters. I don't beg for nothing, they come to me.
Do you cook the food as well?
Everything.
All right, and
5 times a day, cook, clean, vitamins, coffee, everything. And to be fair, I'll just say, he is one of the most, you know, Kel and Barry, from my own personal experience, he's one of the most disciplined fighters in every aspect of training, honestly, and dieting. Crazy. For an heavyweight, he asked me if I can have this, can I have that? Oh, is it possible? Can't have that, 'cause, you know, unless Greg says. And that's not normal for an heavyweight to do, you know, especially at that level as well, where he's at. You can just think, you know, ego takes over, but not with Tyson.
To be able to control, because they haven't got to make a weight, so they could easily justify what they're having. They can, well, it's not going to make a difference, I'm going to fail a weight. So they haven't got that hanging over the head like you have with lighter, you know, fighters who do have to make a weight. So it requires more discipline when you've actually can have what you want and you refuse to eat it because you're sticking to a plan. So that's actually, you know, more difficult.
how do you know if they're cheating or not? Like, let's say if he's eating strawberries or chocolates on the side, how would you know?
With Tyson, I wouldn't, but mentally, I know he doesn't. It's just a mindset.
I know he likes his Diet Cokes.
I give him Diet Cokes once in a while, yeah, when he has his little cheat days. So, yeah, but other people like Kel, I remember, just backtracking, I remember Kel once, went to his house late at night, and I was passing by, and I said to him, I looked at him, I says, "Kel, you've had something to drink. You've had some, oh, no, you've cheated." He went, "I haven't." I said, "You've cheated." I looked at him, he says, "I haven't, I swear." I said, "You have." I says, "And you haven't had food, you've had something liquid, sugary. What is it?" And "You've got a camera in this house, you've got a camera." I says, "No, what is it? What have you had?" And he went, "You've got a camera, tell me." I says, "I swear, what have you had? Just tell me so we can obviously," I didn't need to know what you've had. And I had a litre of cranberry juice, but I could just tell in his body.
Is that because of his skin?
No, it was very dry but vascular, and that food wouldn't do that because you'd have like a bit of a bloated stomach, you smooth over slightly, but I knew it was something like that.
And when you've been working with somebody like Kel for years and years and years, it's like I can tell when he's training, kind of mood he's in and what's going to perform like today. You have to know these things. You have to know the things they're going to do before they do it. And it's the same with him with the diet. You just time it right every time. And it's you know, you have to, fighters like Kel, you have to control them with exercise and nutrition. You have to keep them on a very, very tight lead because you give them an inch and they take a mile. And, you know, it's nearly 2 years since he boxed Khan. And that was one of the longest camps, almost 7 months. 7-month camp. Greg lived in his house. We had trackers in his cars. We knew where he was every minute of the day. It wasn't something that we could get wrong because there was so much resting on it, reputation-wise, and because Kel had, said for many years he'd always going to have the beating of Khan. So we had to make sure that camp was meticulous. And it's a lot of time away from your family. Greg spent a lot of time away from his family, going out to Saudi with Tyson. Once again, you're spending time away from your family, years you're never going to get back with your kids. And it's for somebody else's greatness, not your own. You've got to have not many people can do that. They can't be away from the normal situation. It takes a lot of discipline, and there's not many people can do it.
I just want to get you a quick opinion of you, Greg, on Tyson Fury as a person off camera, because obviously in the media, when you spend time around Tyson Fury, when you press record, it's like a personality that switches on. It's show business time. He sees himself as a guy that just needs to, kind of just
Sell the show?
Sell the show, yeah. What's it? Because I've had some crazy conversations with him off camera. He's a very deep thinker, completely different. So I don't know if you can share anything that with the fans, because you've obviously spent a lot of time in his company in the last 6-7 weeks.
Again, I don't need to blow smoke up anybody's arse. He is what he is. He's just he's a true gentleman. He really, really is. He's humble. People might come across like, you have to sell what you're doing. That's just Tyson Fury. But no matter who he is, I asked him, my friend wants a video, it's his birthday. And I go, they get tossed like sausage. He's just a straight shooter. What you see is what you get. On the camera, he's like that, but obviously just a bit more milder. And he has deep conversations. You can have a genuine conversation with him, a debate. Honestly, it's a pleasure to be around him. It really, really is. He's a knowledgeable guy, very, very, very clued up guy.
He is. He's very knowledgeable on worldly issues. So let's talk about the bit that most people are probably tuning in for, the whole thing that we started with, the whole mold thing. So as the training camp is going on, for the Ngannou fight, your old colleague Johnny Nelson, he did a few interviews and he said he was getting information from the camp that the
Ngannou?
And said the Ngannou camp. No, the Fury USYK camp. So Johnny was saying that he was getting information that the spars are going bad, Tyson's not looking great, and he said he's got direct information, and everyone's trying to figure out who could be the mole. And obviously you can see on social media the people that were in his camp, and most people made the link between yourself and Johnny because of the Sheffield connection. So whilst he was reading all this, I just want to know from your point of view, did anyone ever come up to you in camp and go, is it you, Greg, or anything like that?
Welcome back. It's date night for the cult leader, but it appears the nerves have got to him before the unlucky lady arrives. Tyan appears to be very close to bottling his first date in years as he stands outside the local off-license drinking some cheap beer and sharing a cigarette with a random strange woman.
See you later, yeah? Yeah, thanks. Yo, do you want this?
Whatever it was he shared with the random woman, it's worked. Dressed in his brand new £25 outfit, Tyan heads into the Taka restaurant as he awaits the arrival of his date. Meet 26-year-old influencer boxer and OnlyFans model Alexia Grace, who has come all the way from Birmingham in hope of meeting her Prince Charming. The unlucky lady has no idea what is in store for her. Hang on a minute. Is that Tyan outside the restaurant looking to escape? What the fuck is he doing with that random woman again?
Nah, I don't read anything on YouTube. I don't even watch videos. Honestly, I don't know. People say, have you seen what he said? I'm not interested. I don't get caught up in that because I don't even need to stay relevant in boxing. I just do my thing. So I don't read much. People tell me, like I'm coming here today and someone else told me something else, but I'm not really interested. But with that, no. When it were all going off, I was just doing my normal thing, and not even Tyson, no one was saying, no one cares on camp. Nobody were bothered, because if I were telling what actually happened, which I can't, it's just completely reversed. I just don't understand that.
It's like round backwards.
It's Chinese whispers.
Chinese whispers.
It's crazy, So they were all in the camp, and then I think obviously when it came out and they did the interview, Spencer and everyone was saying, "Oh, Greg, it's you from Sheffield," but they were all laughing about it. Weren't any? It's like we're on a Russian spy investigation. It's just crazy. It's like a mole for what? He did get a cold in camp. We all know that. Shane come in and we had a cold, yeah, and we all got a cold, and his training wasn't optimum, but never, and he got dropped by J.R. Pattaya apparently, and that's inside information. Like, we have that footage, but it is what it is. No one's ever gonna, you know.
And it wasn't Tyson getting dropped in the footage, was it?
No, no.
I can assume I haven't even seen the footage.
No one has.
Nobody's
I was there watching it, but I'm saying everything
Maybe
we did.
it'll come out when the fight's over with Usyk, and because
Maybe.
people love the conspiracy theories, don't they?
Yeah.
I mean, the theories about that Tyson's punched himself in the face, or the cut's a surgical cut.
My own friends who know boxing, Greg, really, you know, did he cut himself? I'm like, what is going on? Apparently, I didn't know that I was in the background going like that.
Yeah, that picture that came out, is that you?
That I didn't know until someone showed me today. They went, that's you, and someone said, oh, like, you doing this? I'm like, I didn't even know that was me background. We were all took back and upset that it happened. So I'm stood there like that, like, I can't believe this is happening. I'm not interested.
Got to do all this all over again.
Yeah, I was like, it was 2 weeks away from going home and just going back to the gym. Do you know what I mean? But like, it is what it is. I've got to go out and do it again, and it's going to be the same job. And you watch Tyson Fury, the shape that I have got him in, because that's the thing that's changed on this camp. Me, for the first time in 4 years, he's had all these same training people, but I have come along, and I think being the missing link. Everything has to work harmoniously. If one of the missing links is not there properly, then I know Tyson inside out. I know I work with a fighter mentally. And I work with them like that. I don't just do what every other nutritionist does. I'm very, very different.
Will this gap now benefit him more? Like, obviously you could see the shape he was in. Will he get even more shredded? Will he lose even more weight?
It'll benefit him to a certain degree because he's obviously got more time, but it's like when people come out with the theory that he's cut himself, that is obviously a disadvantage further down the line. If you're ever going to pull an injury to extend more time, what you'd say, I've got an elbow injury, I've got a hand injury, something what's a bit harder to detect, you wouldn't purposely cut your eye because that can also go in the fight. This is people don't even think one level back. Oh, he's done that himself, he's cut himself. Well, that can stop a fight, a cut.
Yeah.
So why would you do that? You do something else, or back injury, foot injury, COVID. You come out with 50 more excuses than, self-inflicting a cut. So it will benefit Tyson to a certain degree, but it's also going to be a point where he's like, well, that's a cut. So they're going to be aware of that cut. They're going to have a good cuts man and make sure that they're on top of that because and Usyk will know that as well. He will target that eye.
The camp's going to be changed slightly, obviously, because of the eye. But
and do you before we carry on, I'm just going to make a couple of announcements as well, because most people won't know this, but obviously we normally let fans know that if they want to change their lives and lose weight, to contact Dom. But the interesting thing here is you both actually work together, and you have been working together for a long time. I'm assuming when you're working with certain fighters, do you ask Dom for advice, and then vice versa, Dom may come to you? Do you guys concur together?
You know what? It's funny because I go back to a long time back. We were at a fight somewhere. I always remember it might have been Kell boxing, and John Ryder was sat with us, and he was making his weight in a few days' time. He was a bit over. Who did he fight? The British title fight. He was winning. Got stopped. The guy who ended up with a brain injury. Nick Blackwell. It was Blackwell, and he said to Greg, "Oh, Greg, I'm a few pounds over. What can I do? Just to make sure I make this weight all right." And Greg had a quick conversation with him. He said, "Well, what have you been eating for breakfast, John?" And he said something like cornflakes.
I ain't had anything for a day. But I've had I've had cornflakes for breakfast. That's all I've had. I said, what else shall I have? I says, for lunch I have Cocoa Pops, and for dinner I have Frosties. Really? Oh, what? No.
But Greg thought he might have made the weight, and he put in a good performance. Just got caught towards the end. But we've worked on that. We've worked obviously on fighters that. Before Greg did the diets or the nutrition for my fight, as I had to do it myself. And the only thing what was missing with Greg is he didn't have the inside knowledge that I had of the fighter. So the only information I actually had to give Greg was not, give him this food or give him that food. It was like, watch out for this, watch out for that. They'll swerve this, they'll say they've done this, or they haven't been to the toilet this morning, or they've been I gave him the little swerves what they'd use to, why they said the weight were up that morning, why they weren't hitting the targets. I just gave him the background information on the fighter, and then Greg pieced it together with the diet, because if you take them at face value, most fighters, oh, why is the chocolate wrapper under your bed? Oh, I've left patio door open and wind must have blown it in. That's actually an excuse. Do you understand? There's so many excuses what come out, and like when you get to know the fighters, you know what they do, and you know when the weight's going to lift up, you know it's going to drop down, you know how you have to push them. So as far as that's concerned, I've never really had to give Greg the information, because he's studied, he's read the books, he's done the trials, he's had lots of experience with even lower level fighters. Really, not only does he work with the high level fighters, there'll be so many guys. It must be 15, 20 other people you've worked with at varying levels, British title fight, Central area, English title fights. So many fighters, go under the radar, you won't even know he's worked with. So, he's spent how many years have he been doing this? Is it 17? 12 years. He's he's learned a lot in 12 years. 12 years of doing this.
So the thing for fans watching this, you both work with members of the public as well, so it's not just fighters. So I think there's going to be loads of people, because I get it all the time when I bump into people at shows like, oh, I love the Dominic Ingle interviews, how do I get hold of him for the diets, etc. So, and I know from the people that you work with, I bumped into Neil Marsh, and I bumped into a security guard as well. I can't remember his name, but it's a guy from West Brom, and he was saying he loves them as well. But people that want to change their lives, if you want the kind of changes that Tyson Fury's made, losing 10 stone, you guys obviously come as a team, and you've proven the work that you can do. I'm just going to put up an email address now. If anyone wants to change their lives, lose weight, for better health and nutrition, they can contact you guys at eapn.ltd, standing for limited, at gmail.com. I'll have the address on the screen now, but don't forget the dot between EAPN and limited.
I'm going to tell you what that means. Elite Athlete Performance Nutrition. That's what it is, and it makes such a difference.
And you get Dominic Ingle and Greg the Mole Marriott. I hope you don't mind me saying that. Greg Marriott. Obviously, you guys come as a team, and if there's people out there, and like I said, there's a lot of people in boxing. Like you mentioned, Neil Marsh there. He's had a big transformation as well. So with regard to this mole thing, I spoke to Shane Fury last week, Greg, and he pretty much said to me, if there ever was a mole, and if it was Greg giving information out, that information was a lie. So do you think that kind of just settles this whole mole story?
Well, no, not really, because there were no information to give.
Did you ever speak to Johnny? Because everyone's assuming you've been speaking to Johnny Nelson.
No, I spoke to Jennifer.
The only one thing he actually said to Johnny is, because he did a diet for Johnny, and so the conversation will be, Johnny, when are you paying me? That'd have been it.
Yeah. Right? Last time I spoke to Johnny, we said, yeah, where's my money? That's it. So no, I've not spoken.
What did he say? The checks in the post.
It took about 7 days.
Did it?
Yeah. No, so no, I've not even spoke to Johnny. I've spoke to no one on camp. So I won't even. It's not like I've even said to someone someone said, oh, say something so it can create controversy, because Tyson didn't want any pictures, nothing going out. They wanted a silent camp. So when I was putting things on Instagram, it was just me and Saudi just doing my job. Obviously, everybody knew I was working for Tyson, but I presume they did, and they didn't until obviously all the pictures came out. Obviously, they got leaked, and obviously because he's in great shape.
Well, Shane did also say to me that when you guys were in camp, he'd ask you about the work you've done with other fighters, but you said you'd refuse to speak about other fighters, because if you spoke about them, you'd have to speak about Tyson. So I think that kind of...
Is that what he said?
Yeah, that's what he said to me. So yeah, that kind of puts it all to bed in reality.
I'm not going to speak anyone's business.
You find out though that, regardless of what you say, it's always going to get misconstrued. Somebody's always going to elaborate on it or change it. And Greg would phone me up every couple of days. We'd be talking. I just say at camp, yeah, it's going well. Then we talk about something else, some other clients we were working, or he'd be asking me what's going off in this gym. The conversation was very rarely about Tyson, because, to be honest, what goes off in camp, the number of camps we've been on, as long as they're getting up and doing the training and they're sticking to the diet, it's just like another normal day. You can have the worst sparring sessions, you can have the worst training sessions, and it's what happens on the night. It's when you're coming up to the week of the fight, what your mentality is, how you are, and you can have terrible spars. I mean, Kell Brook wasn't the best at sparring. He never had fantastic spars, and if you watched him sparring for the last fight, the variation of sparring, he had the people sparring weren't really, matched up with Khan. We had one
Terry
guy
outside at ring. He's not got in his happy. He's not got this. Not got that. Like calm down. We're always same. And he got it ring, and
the closest guy we had to to Khan, sparring Kel, was a Spanish kid, remember?
Oh, yeah.
He was about the similar.
Fast.
Yeah, and that was it, and he was an amateur. So,
Pretty light though, weren't they?
Huh?
Pretty light.
Pretty light. So Killer, it's such a variation. So what really goes off in camp, if you're taking yourself away from all the distraction of where you live, that's the main purpose of a camp. Keep away from it. And they're not always going to be good days. And you've got fresh kids coming in to spar you who probably aren't training for fights, who can eat what they want, and they might be only doing 3 rounds and they might be 3 sparring partners. So you're constantly under pressure as a fighter. And it's just managing that, managing the camp properly so you just don't fatigue all the way through and you perform as best you can.
And like I just said, Dave, if people want that kind of elite level nutrition and change your lives, the email address is still up. Contact yourselves, and they'll be speaking to Dominic and Greg direct. And obviously, as well as fighters, you work with people as well.
Yeah.
One of the things, Greg, one of the big things that came out from that whole sparring footage, one was our people are saying he's cut himself, which sounds bonkers in itself. The other one was they was talking about the actual video that was leaked. Am I right saying, was that the actual video? Yeah. Off the cut.
Yeah.
So people were saying, well, that video looks old, and it's what camera was being used because it looked so fuzzy. I think Shane told me it was Sugar Hill's phone.
I don't know what Sugar Hill's
I know
got.
Sugar's
I don't know
got
what
an old
phone he's
iPhone.
got. I don't know if it's
He has got an old iPhone, yeah.
is it JVC camcorder from back in? I don't know what he's using, but
I think it's like an iPhone 10 or 11.
Is it?
So he's got one of them small iPhones.
Wipe the camera screen, does it? Huh?
genuine. I mean, there's nothing more to say. He sat on that side post at ring, and that were it. You heard Shane as soon as it was cut, kind of thing, and that was it. Even though Tyson put the cut up, I've got all the videos on my phone in the hospital. The cut yesterday. People have made their mind up.
Do you know what the best thing is when they put a video up, and was it what I was cut the right?
Oh, because yeah.
So
The other thing, people are getting confused with pictures.
no, but I'm saying to you, was it his right eye?
Yeah.
Right, his right eye. Then when somebody put photos of, they reverse the image and it's on the left eye.
Yeah.
It's like they do the photo, it's the mirror image. So if you do it from that way, from the outside, if you do it selfie, it's on the wrong eye. So people are like, it can't be right, it's on the other eye. It's like people just don't think any one step deeper. It's like, it's a con. It's so weird in boxing.
I'm just surprised at how many people think it's a. I just don't get it anymore. Boxing. I don't get it.
With us over-explaining it as well, you do realise it makes it even more of a conspiracy theory because we must be trying to cover something up.
I couldn't.
Maybe it was one of those makeup artists they've got out there, and he's can wipe it off the cut and just carry on. He just extended the time. Maybe that's what it is.
I'm not over-explaining anything. I didn't even know you were going to talk about this mall business. I didn't know much about it until you called me the mall Marriott. I didn't.
Well, I think it's important that we've got that covered because I spoke to Shane and obviously your name got dropped in it. So I thought it was only right that I get Greg Marriott on and just kind of show people who's the guy that's helped Tyson. Obviously, played, like you said, the missing link in, the whole team that he's got around him from S&C coaches to diet, nutrition, etc. So
yeah, listen, Christian, he's strength and conditioner there. I think, you have to have every part of the jigsaw. You have to have it. I'm not saying that we're missing before, but he's never looked as good.
In order to look, I'm a boxing coach, and I can do S&C. You can train a fighter, and you can make them lift weights. They can get fitter, they can get stronger, but they're not going to take shape until they get on a proper nutrition plan. So you're not going to train somebody into shape just by training if they're on a rubbish diet. The reason why they get in shape, the likes of Kell Brook, Billy Joe Saunders, Tyson Fury, the reason they get in shape is because the nutrition plan has to support the work that they're doing. And in order to tap into body fat, you've got to do it a certain way. So you could be the best S&C coach, I could be the best boxing trainer, doing all the stuff. But if they're not on a proper nutrition plan, or they're not, this is the thing with boxers, they think, I've just got to make the weight. No, you haven't got to make the weight. You can get away with it when you're younger. No, you haven't just got to make the weight, because just making the weight, you could be crashing weight, you could be starving, you could be doing dehydrate, you could be doing lots of things. That's not going to make you perform properly. So you've got to have somebody on board who can control the calories and get the excess body fat off. And then everybody's job looks good. I look great as a trainer. The S&C fellow looks good because you can see the muscle separation. You've got to have all three things in order.
Compliments there.
That's what you've got to do. And you can have some kids who actually, they can be on a good diet and they ain't got good training, they ain't got good S&C, but they look great. You can look great with actually out doing massive amounts of exercise, but you just won't perform great. You look it, but you won't do it. And that's why Tyson, he has got through fights in the past being overweight, but it's a level of opponent. And Garner looked better than he did purely because Tyson didn't apply himself. I thought, I just do enough to control this kid. It could have been a different fight with Tyson being in shape and having longer camps. So that's where the jigsaw fits together.
I think it all makes perfect sense, and I hope everyone's kind of understood that. But another announcement as well, as I was saying, Dom, in a lot of the interviews we've done, and people are always saying, is this going to turn into a podcast, and are you going to do more? And I've got great news. It's something we're working on, and we're going to take this to another level. We have got a podcast coming out, and it's going to be a regular thing with Dominic, Ingle, with previews and reviews and just talking boxing stories, and we'll have guests on as well. So I'm glad that you've agreed to do that, Dom, and it's something we're going to hopefully take potentially around the world.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I get requests for podcasts all the time. I've had a couple of big podcasters on, wanting to get me on the shows and stuff. And it's not something I'm really bothered about. I've got enough things taking up my time. Even this interview's been rolling on for nearly an hour now. But yeah, I get a lot of requests, and people say, why don't you do your own show, and why don't you get, have conversations? This is working with Boxing King Media. We'll give this a go. So it's all down to you. So you'll have to make it work, because if it doesn't, your head's going to be on the chopping block.
Yeah, but we always make it work, and I'm looking forward to kind of setting that off, and it will be a game changer, and I look forward to putting that out there. So yeah, thank you, and hopefully we've kind of covered everything. Greg, anything else you want to say before I let you go?
I just want to say, the shape that Tyson Fury's in now is only 50% of what he's going to be in on May 18th, and it's foolproof. I get people in amazing shape, and he's going to be fit and ready, and I promise you, there's no one on this planet that can beat Tyson Fury. He'll never ever lose, and you're going to see an unreal performance. I promise you. I can see it all coming together, and the cut's just. It's not a blessing in disguise. It's just a bit postponing the inevitable, like it did for Khan and Kel when he kept postponing it, and Kel was just getting better and better and better and better. So it's kind of, I think, great for Tyson Fury now in hindsight, because he's just going to get that much better.
A short answer from you, Greg, because I've got Dom's opinion on this, but is Usyk the hardest opponent in this current era of boxing for Tyson Fury?
100%. The hardest fight since Klitschko, I believe. Definitely, why not?
So it's either way. Do you think it's a 50-50 fight?
No.
Okay, right.
On paper, people think it is, but no, never, ever.
It's probably stacked 60-40 in Usyk's favour.
Is that because of the cut?
It's because of a lot of things, Look, Usyk's got that hunger. And I'm saying on paper, I'm not saying that, because I don't think Tyson can beat him, because I think he can. But I think that the opinion is because Usyk's, he's been kept busy. He's a very good awkward southpaw. He's a quality opponent, and he's had quality all the way through his amateur career and the pro careers. He's boxed bigger guys. And the momentum's with him.
You won't be critical of Usyk in the past.
Yeah, but yeah, because like I say, he bamboozled Joshua because he's a better boxer, and physically Joshua is a bigger guy, a stronger guy. So Usyk's always used to coming up against bigger guys and getting around them and knowing how to deal with them, because he's a very good boxer. And when you haven't got the same kind of power, that's what's going to get you out of trouble, being a good boxer. And knowing you've got to do the work, and he's probably got good people around him as well. So Usyk can see he's a clever man. He can see all the issues what Tyson's got and the people around him and what's going on and his last performance, and he can read stuff into it, and he can get confidence from that. So and Usyk's going to have that hunger because he wants to be. He's in the biggest fight. He hasn't got the money that Tyson's got. That's the driving force. He's made money. But this is his opportunity to make mega money. There's 2 fights in this. So, if Tyson fills him in and finishes him off easy, maybe there's going to be no rematch. If it's a close fight and he gets beat on points, Usyk, he's got another go at it again. And if you box Tyson Fury once and you lose, and you get an insight into him, you've got a better chance of beating him the second time. If you're a good fighter, I'm not talking about the likes of Chisora who boxed twice. If Usyk can calculate and think, right, that's where I went wrong. I can adjust and win. So it's everything for Tyson to lose and everything for Usyk to gain. That's where the position is.
Well, let's see how that unfolds. Dom and Greg, cheers for your time. And this interview was powered by IPMB.
I got a question for you. Where can discipline take you? Discipline points you towards your goals.